name's Caleb here on Rocky Mountain Sports Network, and once again joined this week by the one, the only, James Lilliquist. James, how we doing, my friend?
We are doing fantastic, and thank you guys for being patient. I had to take my wife on a little day trip to Ellijay, Georgia, to go see the wonderful Squidbilly statue.
Look, happy wife, happy life. Okay,
exactly.
Happy wife, happy life.
That is the best place to have such a weird statue ever.
Yeah,
right there next to the tubing place.
2.5 hours from Ellijay, but I've never really been up there like that. So
you're missing absolutely nothing. But
okay, good. I didn't feel like I was missing anything, so I'm glad you just verified what I already knew.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some pretty hole in the wall places. That's pretty hole in the wall. So, but anyway, speaking of hole in the wall, we're going to talk about a conference that's definitely not a hole in the wall.
Look, you and I talked this week, and neither one of us were overly excited about talking about the Big Ten. Not because the Big Ten's not interesting, because half the division, half of that conference is exciting to watch, and the other half is just, it comes down to one team. But the Big Ten put out some news this week. UCLA and USC are going to join the conference in 2024. I think I pointed this out to you when the news first came out. A year ago, when the SEC announced that Texas and Oklahoma would be coming to the SEC, would you believe me if I told you the Big Ten would add teams and they would join the conference before Texas and Oklahoma?
I didn't think they would add. I don't think they would add teams, and they would have been in the same time as Texas and Oklahoma would be. I knew that that was the start of the merry-go-round, though.
Right.
So I knew there was going to be adding and subtracting. I knew that was going to happen. Big ups on the Big Ten for saying we want LA and going to get it, because I just want
to know, will either team be playing a mid-November game in Piscataway?
Hey, you stay away from the James Gandolfini Stadium, all right? You hear me?
I'm just saying. They're not built for that.
They're not. The meme of the whole lady looking at the weird when Iowa drops three.
When Iowa puts three tight ends on the field.
Exactly. When they see a wing T formation, they're not going to know what hit them.
And that's the thing. You think there's no real pro-style teams that run like that kind of offense. You have like 3 in the Big Ten.
You have all of them in the Big Ten. I mean, they pretty much play NFC North football 24/7, 365.
Why do we like watching the Big Ten, Wes? Because it's going to be 10-9, and the tight ends are going to be the leading receivers.
They will be, and it's going to be in the snow. I mean, they have the highest opportunity for snow games, and we all love a good snow game.
You and I talked about this, and Greg Sankey at SEC Media Days actually got asked about this. To you, James, we're both SEC guys, so I feel like we're having some SEC bias here, but at least we admit it.
Yep.
What expansion makes a bigger impact? Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC, or USC and UCLA to the Big Ten?
Okay, so I'm going to preface this with I am probably the worst person to ask this, because not only am I an SEC wonk, I also hate, and I do mean this, complete unobjectivity, hate the Southern California region, especially the city of Angels, Los Angeles.
Is that because your boy Lane Kiffin left you after 1 year?
No, that's because I was born in San Jose, California, in the Bay Area, in Northern California.
Right. I knew that part.
Yeah, that's a deep-seated hatred that I was born into.
Right.
And then it just got worse. And then when he pulled that maneuver, I was actually here. Me and my wife had just moved into our first apartment ever when that happened. And I was actually I was about to start going to school there that next semester. I was actually there during the Derek Brodus incident that everyone's heard of on TikTok.
Right.
About the kicker that they just grabbed out of the frat house.
Right. Go ahead and tell that story, because we don't have the video, and I actually didn't know about it. And so you sent it to me. So go ahead and kind of just vaguely explain that, and then we'll move on to more Big Ten related content.
During the 2010 homecoming weekend for Tennessee, they were playing the I think Middle Tennessee State or Memphis. I forget which one.
I don't remember.
One of the Tennessee directional schools. Okay.
You better be careful. Memphis will come slap y'all around. Continue.
Oh no, we ball our fists up at them.
Oh, okay. All right.
And we come out threatening with bald fists. Anyway, so we already know that the place kicker had gotten injured the week before. So they thought, okay, the punter's going to kick for both things. He gets hurt during the warm-ups of this game. So the backup practice squad punter is this young man by the name of Derek Brodus. And he had been enjoying the homecoming activities at his fraternity house. He gets a phone call, and I've gotten this from third-party sources. I'm not going to say my chemistry partner was on the football team, so I got to hear the story firsthand. Anyway, they call him when that happens. No answer. 15 minutes later, Dooley calls again. No answer. He literally
goes. Is he Derek Dooley?
Yeah, yes, we're talking about Derek.
I don't remember who the head coach was at Tennessee.
Yes, Orange Dog.
The head coach Derek Dooley.
Yes. Where's Rommel? The whole thing. He goes to the head security guard and says, "Get me him now."
Now, wasn't he a former soccer player?
Yes, he was a soccer. Okay. He was a soccer player at like West High School or something like that.
Okay.
He's a local kid. He played soccer and also kicked. Okay. So I mean, he had experience before,
right?
But he was not in shape to kick a football, let alone drive a vehicle. So they finally knock on his frat door because they knew where he was. They had to ask, "Hey, where is he at?" And they're like, "Oh, he's watching football games. He's watching the game." He'd already pounded like 12, 14 beers.
Of course, because how else do you get ready?
Yeah, how else do you pregame for a late night game? Then
for a game you didn't know you were going to be in.
Exactly, for a game that proper preparation. Literally knock on the door, open the door. He's passed out on the couch with a beer in his hand. Wake him up, throw him into a cop car, drive him to Neyland Stadium with the sirens blaring the entire way down Neyland Drive.
This man.
In there, they said he's reeked of alcohol. He was like stumbling drunk, and then like the first time he's lining up for the kick, they're going, "Are you ready?" He goes, "I can't see which one is it." He had multiple.
They say ended up making what 3 PATs, 4 PATs in that game.
He hit 4 PATs.
Just man.
Yeah, and he also started the next week's game. Also,
just man. Welcome to SEC football. But anyways,
sorry to get outside. That's a great story though.
Right. And you sent me that, and we got a good laugh out of that. So we're both in the same boat there. We feel like Oklahoma and Texas are better fit for the SEC.
It's not about fit.
Or not fit, excuse me. A better get for the SEC.
They're just better programs. I mean, USC's a better program than both of them combined. However, I don't think I think UCLA is an anchor to them. I don't think UCLA is that good outside of, for football sakes. We're talking about football here, folks. I'm not.
Right. Because this is a college football show. So and we know that, there are more sports outside of. But as everybody knows, football fits the bill. So.
Yeah, I mean, the Olympic sports, UCLA, that's a great get.
Right.
Their gymnastics coverage on the Big Ten Network is going to go sky high.
Yeah. We didn't go over this. Do you feel like Oklahoma and Texas, and I know we are moving away from the regional part of the sport, but do you feel like Oklahoma and Texas kind of being in that southeastern footprint makes it a better fit than for the SEC than UCLA and USC for the Big Ten? Because that's kind of like a Midwestern, Northeastern type area, and USC's over here on the West Coast.
I think culturally it works. I think culturally, with Oklahoma and Texas fans being absolutely psychotic, they're going to fit in the SEC.
Right.
I mean, we're not going to worry about Missouri. Missouri was the worst fit out of all of this, right? Still the reigning defending champion is Missouri.
What my favorite part is? Missouri is in the SEC East. That has got to be my favorite thing in the whole world.
I love it too. Now that
how that makes sense, I don't know, but we're going to roll with it.
Exactly. But I mean, honestly, we're talking about this prematurely because we got to wait for the biggest domino to drop, and that's going to be Notre Dame. We have to wait on Notre Dame because the rest of everything else will fall into place once that domino drops.
And I think you and I talked, and I had a conversation with some other people. Notre Dame's in no hurry, and they shouldn't be in any hurry. So everybody's like, "Oh, Notre Dame needs to." Notre Dame can do whatever they want to do because NBC fits that bill.
I understand that. However, the music's going to stop and they need to have a chair.
Oh, they'll have a chair. Whenever they decide to sit down.
Well, I mean, right now, I mean, if it gets long enough and it gets long enough in the tooth and they dawdle enough, I mean, Oregon and Washington are there. They are ready. Or Stanford. And if you go get Stanford, you get the Bay Area as well.
I will refute you on Notre Dame because whenever they're ready to sit down, they'll have a chair. It doesn't matter when they're ready.
I don't know. I mean,
and that kind of bumps into our next question about Notre Dame. You know, do you think they join the Big Ten? Do you think they join the SEC? Do they have the hard alliance with the ACC, or they just join the conference? Where do you think fits best for Notre Dame?
Best fit and money are two different things here.
I agree. I think it's the same thing, but where do you think they belong? At the end of the day, where does Notre Dame end up?
I think at the end of the day, they end up in the Big Ten. However, if they had the cojones and they wanted the money, you go to the SEC.
I agree. I do think they end up in the Big Ten. I'm not going to tell you, I think they end up in the Big Ten in whatever year, but I do think they end up in the Big Ten.
I just think that the Big Ten is just too easy money for them, and they don't really benefit as much as if they go to the SEC. Do you know how big that would be? You are immediately shooting. I mean, that is bigger than the whole WWF and WCW war when Vince McMahon bought Georgia. I mean, that's the biggest. It would be the biggest shot across the bow.
Like I said, I kind of went away with the regionality part of it, but your natural rivals are there. It just makes too much sense. At some point, it just makes too much sense.
It does, and that's why when Lard Popper says, once you know all the answers, I change the question.
Absolutely. They have 4 Big Ten teams ranked in the preseason. Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin, Michigan State. Do you feel like there's a team that should be ranked that's not ranked?
Yes.
Who?
Iowa.
Right, and we're going to get into that because we have some thoughts on the Big Ten West later. I'm not mad at that. To me, and this just may be reactions from the way the season ended, I feel like Michigan's probably ranked a little too high.
Of course. They're going to be.
And I'm not mad. You have Ohio State 1-2. I'm not mad. We're going to play it out on the field. It doesn't really matter. So I agree with Iowa. We're going to get to my pick later, but we have 3, maybe 4 potential openings, and then you have a bonus. Illinois, Indiana, Nebraska, which we'll get to Nebraska as a whole other subject. And we're also talking about Michigan on their own. So between Indiana and Illinois, which one is more likely to come open next year?
Indiana.
Okay. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go Illinois. I feel like they're trying to catch lightning in a bottle. And I'm not sure. They didn't really allow Lovie Smith to be there for very long. They had the one good year under Ron Zook, and
oh God, that Ron Zook year. But that one Ron Zook year, though.
What was that? 2009 when they won when they went to the Rose Bowl with Rashad Mendenhall and Juice Williams.
Yeah, they had a team there. God, I forgot about that squad.
So, James, you kind of brought this up to me, and I'll let you elaborate on this point all on your own. There's a team that you mentioned that I didn't think of, and I still don't know if I agree with it. But go ahead, lay out your point and reasoning for the team you thought of.
I think Maryland's going to be a surprise.
Okay.
I am not the biggest fan on the head coach or just how he runs a program. I wasn't a big fan of his offensive coordinating job he's the classic SEC short of, you are the benefit of the Saban coaching rehabilitation.
And we have seen, I felt like Jim McElwain was that way.
Yes.
I felt like, I see where you're going there.
And I'm just not a big Dan Enos fan either. I'm not a big Dan Enos fan. I'm not a big Mike Locksley fan. I just don't like the way the coaching staff is set up. I'm not the biggest fan of the talent. I think Tagovailoa is a good quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback. I think he was very much boosted by his last name, even though I can't say it. I mean, they've recruited, but I mean, if they're going to do anything, it has to be this year. And then, because I mean, looking at their depth chart right now, you see junior, senior, sophomore, junior.
Veteran-led team.
Yeah, you've got a lot of senior leadership there, and if they don't do it this year, they're not going to do it this year.
Right.
They're not going to do it ever.
They have right now to start off the season, they have the second-rated draft-eligible wide receiver in the conference.
Rakeem Jarrett?
Yes. Yeah. No. Dante Demas.
Oh, Demas? Okay.
Yep. So, I can definitely see your point there with, you have veteran-led teams, and Maryland's not a win now. Like, you don't expect to go there and win 9 games every year.
But you have to win at least like 5 or 6.
Right. And their schedule, I don't think, is very tough this year. Let's see if I can just flip to the page.
I mean, you have to beat Rutgers. Okay.
We are going to talk about the SAWFT-ness soft of the Big Ten out-of-conference schedule when we start looking at our out-of-conference games. I.e., look at Michigan. But speaking of Michigan, let's kind of jump into there. I just kind of wrote down a few questions. Will Jim Harbaugh make it through the 2022 season?
No. I think he's going to retire.
Okay.
He's gonna fake he's gonna get the heart attacks like Urban Meyer did back in the day, so that he doesn't, because it's gonna fall off the tracks. I think it's still gonna fall off the tracks, and they don't want to fire him, so they're gonna let him walk away so he can take an NFL job, which is much less stress. Which I can't believe I'm saying that in the year 2022.
Right.
Back in my brain when I was a kid.
You're gonna say that out loud.
Yeah, I never thought I would say those words in those places, because I always thought the NFL was the pinnacle. But as you're seeing, college football coaching is a 24/7, 365 grind. And
you get like a 3-week break in June, and that's about it.
That's all you have. No, everything you even get the 3-week break because you got recruiting going on right there. You got the big recruiting.
There's dead periods in June that you can't recruit. Okay.
Come on.
Anyways, what are your expectations for Michigan with the SAWFT schedule? Soft. Schedule.
I think going into October 15th against Penn State.
Right. That's their first true game.
If they are not 5-1, we have alarm bells going.
We have what?
Alarm bells going. We should be ready for the fall, because the fall's coming. Because October 15th you have Penn State. October 29th you have Michigan State. You get an off break.
Wait a second. Hold on, timeout, sir. I would like to call a timeout. Are you completely skipping over your Iowa Hawkeyes on October 1st?
No, I'll call. I said they have to have 5 wins.
Okay, all right.
They have 5 wins because they're going to lose to Iowa.
Continue. Okay.
I said they have to have 5 wins, not 6.
Okay, you're good. I'm catching up now.
You're catching up now. All right.
I'm picking up what you're laying down.
All right. So you got 6 wins right now, and then you got to play Nebraska, and I think you're going to lose Nebraska. I think Brett Bielema, by that time you're so beat up, I think Brett Bielema's teams are going to beat the unholy bejesus out of you. They might not win the game, but you go from 10-2 with a playoff to 7-5.
I'm with you. I do see a downfall for Michigan, which is why I feel like they were ranked too high.
Oh no, we have some internet issues at the moment. There might be thunderstorms going on, and we're going to talk about this. But I wanted to talk about Kate. So the reason why, and I hate doing this to a guy that I actually played against their high school when I was at Dayton, Nevada. A McCleary, Citadel like himself, Cade McNamara.
Right.
And I'm just from Reno, Nevada, from Stead. The reason why he was there is his dad was at Stead Air Force Base there.
Right.
In Reno, Nevada. And I've always rooted for the guy, but he's not that good.
I definitely think at some point J.J. McCarthy is going to take over the starting job this year.
Can J.J. McCarthy throw a football, though?
We don't know.
I mean,
Can Dave McNamara be anything more than a game manager? We don't know. We saw last year when Ohio State won games. The only time, and I'm cover your ears because I'm gonna talk bad about your Hawkeyes really fast. The only time we saw Cade McNamara throw the ball was in the Big Ten championship game. Other than that, it was the running game. Cade McNamara didn't beat Ohio State last year.
Nope.
Their two-headed running back beat Ohio State last year. I just think they're losing both coordinators. Now they have offensive and defensive coordinators. So I'm curious if they just have too many voices.
Oh yeah, there's too many Chiefs, not enough Indians in that. Yeah, I mean, and this is the problem with Jim Harbaugh is, I will always be thankful for what he did for the San Francisco 49ers when he got them to the NFC Championship game and in the Super Bowls.
Right.
But his shtick gets old. And I feel like he has those years and he gets that talent. When he has a talented quarterback, he can go far. Or he has to have a talented defense. He can't create something out of nothing. And this is what I feel like he has this year.
Right.
He has a whole lot of nothing.
You lost Hassan Haskins, I believe. And then we wouldn't expect the fall from Dan Mullen, flirt with the NFL. But now that we see it, and you and I have both said it out loud to each other and on a live recording, I think once you flirt with the NFL, you lose. I think you just lose your team that way. Because then, is he really invested in what's happening here?
He's not. I mean, and I feel like that was mutual. I feel like the Michigan wanted him to leave on a high.
Do you agree that if Jim Harbaugh hadn't played at Michigan, he'd have been fired way before he had this successful season last year?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm glad we feel the same way. Because I'm the same. If that's anybody else not named Jim Harbaugh, they're fired before they got to the point they got to last year.
And this is the problem with Michigan, and it's an issue that a lot of historically rich programs have. You get those guys and you just hold on to them just a little too long.
Right. Because, maybe they can because they've shown potential somewhere else.
Exactly. Like, he did great at Stanford. He took the team to the Super Bowl. Yes, that's also the NFL. That's a completely different animal.
All right. I am going to move on from Michigan. We are going to talk about another coach who probably has a hotter seat than Jim Harbaugh at this point. Scott
Which
Frost,
I don't believe he should have one. Honestly.
I don't either, because if you look at what he came into, okay, I'm going to go back past Mike Riley. Nebraska should have never fired Bo Pelini.
It's true.
Nebraska should have never left the Big 12.
Agreed.
Okay. Does Scott Frost make it through the season?
Do what?
Does Scott Frost make it through the season?
Yes.
I agree.
I think he goes 6 or 7-5.
What do you expect from quarterback Casey Thompson that's transferred from Texas? I expect him to be able to throw the ball a little better.
I mean, anything's better than Jared Garantano of the Midwest, Adrian Martinez throwing picks at times.
You can't get over that. I'm going to name you some games, win or losses. Week 0 in Ireland, they played Northwestern. Win or loss?
I think they win.
Okay. September 17th, they play Oklahoma at home.
I think they win because Brett Venables is he's not there yet.
Okay.
He's still got the learning pains. Look at Kirby Smart. Even Kirby Smart had growing pains.
He did, but he went 10-2 in his first year. No, he did not lie.
No, he did not. He went 7-5.
Second year. Okay. October 15th, they play Purdue at home.
I think they lose to Purdue.
Okay. On the 12th, November 12th, this is the last 3 games. This is what I think what's going to determine what kind of season Nebraska has. The last 3 games, they play on the road at Michigan, at home at Wisconsin, and on the road at Iowa.
Okay, so I think they have a chance of beating Michigan because I think Michigan plays.
Michigan might be checked out at that point.
So Michigan is getting over playing Michigan State and Rutgers. So Rutgers
don't they have Illinois in there too?
No, Illinois is after.
Oh, okay.
That's that, and this is right in the sweet spot where they're preparing for Ohio State, but are they really preparing? And that whole situation with that. This is right where everything's the shit's hitting the fan. Excuse me for pardon my French. This is where the feces is hitting the rotary oscillator, and everything's going to heck in a handbasket. And I feel like Nebraska might be right at that time where they could come in and shank them in the big house, and then that really triggers everything. So that changes from a 7-5 season to an 8-4 season, and then there's no way that they would fire Scott Frost if he goes 8-4. No way. I don't think there's any way if they go 6-6. I really don't think.
I think if he gets to 6 wins, I'm just looking at the schedule, and I'm curious if they go 5-7 if they keep him.
No.
Because I expect them to beat Northwestern, North Dakota, Georgia Southern.
Okay.
So we expect them to start we expect them to be 3-0 going into Oklahoma.
Yes.
Coin toss. Okay, let's just
Okay.
maybe.
I think Oklahoma's lost a lot of talent, so that's why.
Right. And I'm not. I understand where you're coming from. I expect them to be Rutgers.
Okay. What about the Indiana game?
I guess I'll say I expect them to be Indiana.
Okay.
I expect them to be Rutgers. I'm going to say they lose at Purdue.
So
you have now started out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-2, 6-1. But if you're 5-2 going into this last little stretch, if for whatever reason, point being, if for whatever reason they go 5-7 instead of 6-6, is Scott Frost still there next year?
I think so. I think if it goes 5, he has to. It has to be a very
because I can see, like I said, Northwestern, North Dakota, Georgia Southern, Indiana, Rutgers, and you should beat Illinois in that 6-6.
Okay, but here's the reason why I think they're going to be more than that. I think they're going to beat Oklahoma. How bad did Oklahoma beat Nebraska in Stillwater?
I think it was like.
It's going to be in Lincoln. No.
It was Oklahoma. Huh?
It was in Oklahoma.
Yeah, but that's not Stillwater.
Yeah, I know. I said that wrong. I was Norman.
I want to say it was like a touchdown or a 9-point game last year.
It was
right here in front of me.
It was 16-23. Yeah, it was a 6-point game.
6-point game.
And that was with Lincoln Riley there, and Spencer Rattler, and Caleb Williams, and the entire.
I'm not saying they can't beat them because they should have beat them last year.
Yeah. They should have beat Illinois. They'll probably fix that. I mean, the bigger ones they have the games that they have to win, and I mean, yeah, I think they're going to lose to Purdue. I think they're going to lose, to Iowa, and I think they probably lose to Wisconsin. I think they beat Michigan just because that's where it is. Can you beat Illinois, Minnesota, Rutgers, Indiana, and can you win that Oklahoma game? That's 5 wins right there. Those are 5 swing games.
There it is.
That's the season.
Because we're going to assume they're going to put out 3-0. So you only have to win 3 games somewhere else.
Exactly.
And
we're in a Tennessee situation here.
Shocker.
I know how this feels. You're in a Tennessee situation where you have a couple of guaranteed losses there, and you got the toss-up games, and you have to just win majority of your toss-up games.
Shocker. Upset. Yeah, upsets do happen for those of y'all that don't remember.
What? So, well, we play college football, right? That never happens.
And remember, games. I don't know how many times you've heard this in your life, but games are not played on paper.
Really?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
I mean, I thought you could roll the football out there and Nebraska could beat North Dakota.
I mean, it's not like, the logo on the helmet beats anybody anymore.
Exactly.
We talked about this outside of the Notre Dame Ohio State game. The Big Ten has the SAWFT IST soft non-conference schedule. So this was a challenge for you and I to find non-conference games to watch. So if the quality of these games are down, go blame Kevin Warren. Give me your first non-conference game you're watching.
Well, you already broadcasted it because the biggest non-conference game to watch is Ohio State, North Dakota.
Right.
I mean, Notre Dame. Sorry, I have ND here in my notes, and I just completely.
It's all right. It's okay because we already talked about ND, North Dakota.
Yeah. So my other one I have is actually Michigan State versus Washington, and
with Kalen DeBoe, that they might have an offense at that point.
They might have an offense, but Michigan State is still a good team, even though I don't think they don't have the running back anymore.
My first game I'm going to watch is going to be South Dakota State at Iowa. South Dakota State's a powerhouse in the FCS. So I'm going to be interested to see how that plays out. We've seen North Dakota State go in there and beat Iowa. So Iowa has been prone to play down to opponents at times.
Yes, they have.
The second game I got was Washington State at Wisconsin.
So I've got another one here that you might like.
Okay.
And it's PJ Fleck in Minnesota versus Colorado.
I will watch that game. I watched it last year. I watched it the year before last. That is a game I will sit down and watch. The Washington State-Wisconsin game, we know what Wisconsin's going to do. They're going to shove the ball down your throat. Washington State brought in what is his name? Eric Ward. Hold on, let me pull up Washington State because now I can't remember what this guy's name is.
It's not Jared Carantano anymore. That's all I know.
Right.
I'm done playing with it.
I'm
done with the memes. I'm done caring about them.
Oh, there it is right here. Cameron Ward. Cameron Ward from Incarnate Word, who won the Jerry Rice Award as the best freshman for the spring. Well, they also brought in Eric Morris to be their offensive coordinator, who was the head coach at Incarnate Word when Cam Ward was there. So I'm interested to see what kind of offense they're going to run. So that's going to be an interesting game to me. An interesting game for me to watch.
Well, I mean, and the good thing is it's not like, I mean, it's going to be two good defenses because I think Washington State's returning a lot of their defense. Which was good because that poor defense needed help a lot because they were getting hosed out a lot there.
Wow.
But, I mean, their offense wasn't bad last year, but it could have been better. So now they got their efficiencies up. Hopefully their explosiveness, their explosive plays are up. But they're driving. They at least finished drives and they stopped players, but Pac-12. So,
what conference game are you watching most closely this year?
The battle for the Big Ten West title.
Right,
it's between Wisconsin and Iowa.
Sir, you picked the wrong team. Continue.
Yeah, you could say that, but I won't because I love the Iowa Hawkeyes this year. It's not just because I'm a homer for Iowa tight ends because George Kittle is my tight end.
By the way, we are, if you haven't learned, we are pro backyard brawl and pro tight ends.
From Iowa.
I mean, I like Brock Bowers, but I will give you Iowa tight ends too.
Yeah. I mean, just, again, Kittle and Hawkinson. Come on now. But I mean, it's played in. So it's being played in Ames, or Iowa City, Iowa. I keep on messing up these
That's all right.
locations. These happen. All right. But it's in Iowa City. It's a mid-November game. So we know one thing, it's going to be a bit chilly during that game.
This game's going to be 13-9.
It will be. Hey, you know what? They scored a lot of points last time. Let's see here. It was a 7-27 game. Okay.
Right.
They scored more than a couple points. They scored a couple touchdowns. But I mean, it's just for me, Iowa's the team to beat just because they have more returning people on defense and they have returning on offense, and it's a Kurt Friends, team. So we know they're going to play football.
I am going opening night.
And you're not going to Dublin.
I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit. And I'm not going to Dublin. We love week. Oh, also, we love week 0. But I'm not going to Dublin. I'm
going to be watching. So I can't say
West Lafayette. You what?
I'm going to be watching.
Right. I am going to West Lafayette, Indiana, to watch Penn State play on the road at the Big Ten West champion, Purdue Hawkeyes. Purdue Boilermakers.
Wow.
Purdue Boilermakers.
I the name. The city's actually pretty typical. How did you mess up Boilermaker and Hawkeye?
With potential Heisman candidate Aiden O'Connell at quarterback.
Okay, Phil Still. Yes, he's big on it, and so is Phil Still.
Let's not pretend like I have not been talking your ear off Purdue for 3 weeks now. Okay, let's not pretend that.
I mean, it's just he loves Aiden O'Connell, and I mean, I'm still a little. I mean, yes, am I a little salty? I will agree. I'm a skosh on the sodium, high content on the Purdue game from last, Music City Bowl game.
That's okay, but here's the thing. You know what? Tennessee didn't lose that game. Purdue didn't lose that game. The officials lost everybody that game.
The fans lost that game. All right,
absolutely.
We got cheated out of a great overtime.
I agree, and you and I have gone back and forth, and I have agreed with you that Wisconsin, Tennessee should have won that game.
We should have. There was no excuses for it whatsoever. I've repented for that. Okay,
that's okay. So what I'm hearing is you don't hate Purdue. You just hate that the referees gave Purdue that game. I understand that.
I'm mad that was a touchdown.
So
the ball across the plane, that was a touchdown.
It was a touchdown. I agree. I sat and I watched it, and I'm like, oh, and then the best part, they reviewed it and still fucked it up.
Yeah.
They reviewed it and still fucked it up.
This is why I hate Tennessee playing in Nashville outside of playing at Candy Stadium.
Well, I think we both have Ohio State winning the conference, so this is pretty boring when we get to predictions. You just happen to have Iowa, and I just happen to have Purdue.
We have different sacrificial lambs of the same slaughter.
We basically have different animals being brought to the slaughter.
Exactly.
Although I will say I do think Purdue could potentially have the offense to keep that game interesting.
But they will not have the defense or CJ Stroud putting up
because
EA Sports numbers.
It's going to be 60-42. It's fine.
It's gonna be like that arena football game you were playing this weekend.
It's
gonna be like 70 points put up in that damn game.
Hey, all I have to say is I think Purdue has beat Ohio State the last 2 times they played. Purdue's beat Ohio State the last 2 times they played. I'm actually going to fact check that because I know they beat them in 2017. I know they beat them in 2017 because they upset them.
I know they played them tough. I don't know if they beat them, but they play them tough.
Purdue versus Ohio State football. Okay, I'm looking it up like right this very minute. Oh, okay, I lied. So last time these two teams played was last year. Purdue won 50. Excuse me, Purdue. Wow, I can't do shit correctly today. Ohio State won 59-31.
Yeah.
The year before that, when they played, that was the year that Purdue upset Ohio State.
Yes.
Although I will have to say, I'm looking up officially on Purdue leads. Ohio State leads the all-time series. Shocker.
Yeah.
I just had it. Where'd it go?
41-15.
Yes, thank you, because I clearly can't do anything correctly. Yeah, and then
but Purdue there was a massive break between there. You know what was the break between the 2018 game? How big of a break do you think that was?
What are you talking about?
How long that they didn't play each other?
So it was 2013 to 2018 and 18 to 21.
Yeah.
So in 2021, Purdue lost. Ohio State won 59-31. Then in 2018, Purdue won 49-20.
I would do you a favor. Do not look at that 2013 score.
I already saw it. For those of y'all that don't know, it says 56-0.
Yeah.
There's also a 49-0 game that Ohio State vacated.
Just stop it.
But I'm not going to go into it. I'm just saying.
There's no such thing as vacated wins. USC won their national championship. Reggie Bush did nothing wrong.
All I have to say is, actually, that'd be an interesting topic when we get on the Pac-12 now that NIL's a thing. Different story, different day. All I have to say is every few years, Ohio State's due for – I almost feel like every year Ohio State has a letdown game.
Yes, but I think last year was their letdown season.
Well, all I have to say is
you lose to Michigan, and you lose
and
that way to Michigan
early in the season.
Yeah, they got punked by Oregon too. That wasn't
Oregon just bullied them the whole
in their home. Oregon walked in there, freaking went to the kitchen, took out the nice cheese and
they got meat. And they got out the nice finery and they stayed for a while.
No. They left it there. They left all the crumbs and the condiments open and on the counter and made themselves a sandwich and then walked back out.
Just man. All I know is the big house was Oregon's home that day.
Oh.
James, we're doing Big 12 next week, and you and I have talked about how much more exciting the Big 12 is to talk about.
The anti-Big 10.
We're not anti-Big 10. We just don't like playing SAWFT soft conference schedules.
Well, that's what I meant. Like it's the anti-Big 10 scheduling.
What is your one thing that you look forward to talking about next week?
Keep on talking about our favorite guy, Josh Pate's favorite coach, Dave Aranda.
Dave Aranda. Look, James, you know we've officially made it to next week? Part 2 of the Backyard Brawl when we make it to West Virginia.
Well, okay, and also, since we missed about talking about it, can we just take a minute for also shout outs to Pate State getting their own merchandise.
I actually didn't look at the store, and I really meant
it was gone in 20 minutes.
17 minutes is what I heard.
Yeah, it was done. It was there and done.
Wow.
But at SEC Media Days today, we had the Pirates. Speaking of old Big 12 in Texas Tech, another one that should have never fired their coach.
Yep, Mike Leach never should have been fired from Texas Tech.
Never should have been fired from Lubbock. He got to talk on national TV about grizzly bear attacks.
As I said, as I've asked previously, is there a more entertaining coach than Mike Leach?
The guy from Minnesota Tech or Montana Tech.
No.
Yeah, no, that guy was better. That guy was
better. You talk about the playoffs. You talk about using girlfriends to get players' attentions.
You know, and let's be honest, Adam James deserved to be locked in that closet if that was true.
Just man.
His dad deserved it for Pony Excess, everything.
All right. Give me one prediction or one thing you're talking about next week.
I mean, outside of Dave Aranda, the fall of Iowa State, I just don't think they're going to be good this year.
James, you know what out-of-conference game I'm talking about next week?
You're talking about the backyard brawl.
No. I'm talking about, well, yes, but no. Kansas and Duke playing on the football field and not the hardwood.
The most basketball. I mean, like if this game was being played maybe 3 months later, everybody would be all excited about it. My chair just broke thinking of the excitement.
I heard
of Kansas and Duke playing basketball.
Right.
But no, we're gonna watch them play football instead,
we're gonna watch
baby.
Kansas and Duke in September instead of November. Okay. And I am excited, okay?
And I want Dick Vitale to call it, even though I know he never calls a football game ever in his life.
Yes, man. James, you have a great week, and we will talk again next week, okay?
Well, we're going to talk next week. We're going to talk on Sunday there. We're going to reveal the curtain back a little bit. We're going to talk Sunday.